You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneurnetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
This is Women in Leadership Podcast, featuring success insights from women around the globe. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
And welcome to another episode of Women in Leadership Podcast, brought to you by the influencealliance.com, the business building community for coaches and consultants who want to make such a big impact in the world with their message. And our guest today is such a woman that is certainly making an impact. And one of the things that she says is serve with integrity, gain loyalty, and royalty. And joining me on today's show is Jacqueline Audige. Now, have you ever wondered what influence your name has had in your life? Well, if so, you're not alone. Now, at birth, Jacqueline's parents named her Tchouassi, and that means problem solver. Jacqueline's mother survived the war while hiding deep in the woods with her family. And they believe that Jacqueline was the angel who protected them. So her passion is rooted in problem solving that was bestowed on her by birth. Now, today, Jacqueline is a coach at JA Life and Business Coaching. She supports people in their journey to track their unique communication code. And on today's show, Jacqueline is going to share why it's so important to put your family first, and your success will be their success. She's going to talk about you will soon be the master of your life and in control of your destiny if you follow your heart, and why failure in business and life is an opportunity in disguise, and much more. Welcome to the show, Jacqueline.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm so thrilled to be able to share your story on Women in Leadership Podcast. I wanted to just give everybody some context. You and I connected on LinkedIn, and just for a coffee chat, a virtual coffee chat. And as you shared your story, I really could sense your passion, much of what you're going to talk about today, of course. And as you shared your story and just what you were doing in the world, not only to obviously impact where you are at the moment, but also in a much greater scale, I thought we have to really share your story. So, Jacqueline, you were named Tchouassi. I hope I spelt that correctly. And that
you're doing very well, Tchouassi. Yes.
Good. And that means problem solver. Isn't it interesting how our names that we're given at birth can really direct many of the projects, many of the things that we really are passionate about. Now, tell us a little bit about your story. You're now living in which part of the US?
I live in Maryland, in the US.
Yes.
And I have been here for almost 30 years.
Yes.
I moved to the US with my family in 1991.
Yeah.
And I have 5 children. I have been raising 5 children, and when we connected, I told you that when I arrived here, I didn't have the education that I have today, because today I hold a master's degree in international education. But when I moved to the US, I only have my high school diploma. And hopefully I was able to go back to school here and complete my education. And I started the project Omaze, because I look back and I said to myself, I have this opportunity. So the more you give in, the more you have to give. And that's how I see it. I thought about the little girl that was back in my country, in Cameroon. I'm originally from Cameroon, dreaming to have an education. And because my parents couldn't afford a high school education for me, I have to drop out of high school. But I was lucky to come here, and I went back and I've completed my education, and I started that project. But currently, I work as a coach.
Yes.
A coach, because during the education project, I noticed that many people, I was transforming lives, not only the life of the girls that I'm helping in Cameroon, but the lives of everybody that was around me, whether the staff, whether my colleagues, and everybody was saying to me, "Oh, you said this to me," and I went and I changed my life. So
Yeah.
I said to myself, why not turn this into a real business? Because working with the nonprofit, I have been volunteering my time at the nonprofit, so it's and I needed some revenue stream, so I started coaching, and my for the coaching, I work with people that complain a lot. You won't believe it, but I work with people that complain a lot, and I help them uh, um, communicate better. Because what I discover is that people that complain a lot is because they don't know how to communicate
Yeah.
effectively. And
Yes.
yes, they don't know how to communicate effectively. They're looking for a way to communicate, but they don't know how. So
Mm.
what I do, I help uh, people that complain a lot, crack the unique communication code. Yeah,
Yeah.
and men usually when once they really learn. By the end of the coaching session that I schedule with the people, they they start living fully. They gain harmony with themselves, and
Mhm.
they start really revealing themselves to the world. So
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. I want to pull so much of that apart because there's some rich lessons that we can certainly learn from that. But just as you shared that story, the whole way through, I really could see that problem solver come out because obviously people who are complaining a lot obviously have no real strategy on how to move forward. And as a problem solver, I'm sure you've got lots of ideas for them. But as you said, you've been
exactly.
them to be able to find different ways that they can communicate in the right way for them. So one of the things that you did, and this is kind of, let's bring some context for people. I mean, you obviously came from or went from Cameroon to the US, and through that opportunity was able to be educated. And I remember one of the things that you said, you were so grateful for that opportunity. You thought back to, and many of the young girls, of course, over in Cameroon are not afforded or cannot afford and do not have the resources to be able to gain education for themselves. And when we think about education in the US where you're based and here in Australia where I'm based, education is just one of those things that is a given, isn't it? I mean, everybody has the opportunity to be able to go to school, go to university, and study what they really feel passionate about. And of course, to hear that there are particularly girls in other countries that don't have that. And of course, what you ended up doing was you set up and correct me if I'm wrong, but you set up a not-for-profit, which is a building company over in Cameroon, and you've actually built a school as well, haven't you?
Yes, yes. I started the what I discovered, because the to just give you a little bit of the background of how I came to start the nonprofit here. And I have 5 children, and one day the school called me in the morning, in the middle of the morning. They called me and they said to me, uh, I believe the teacher was talking to me, and she sensed that I was starting to panic. And she said, "No, no, no, don't panic. There is nothing wrong with the children. Um, it's because the bathroom of the school broke down, and we have to close the school." At that moment, I sat down and I said to myself, "What? Is are you serious? You're gonna close the entire school because the bathroom broke down, and you can't use it?" And I said, "Wow, this is unbelievable," because I came from the environment that I grew up and we went to school. The school didn't have toilet, and it didn't occur to me that it was a problem, because when you know better, you do better, right? But
Yes.
if you don't have anything, you don't learn for anything that you don't have. So usually we used to go to the neighbors, to people that live near the school, and ask if we could use the bathroom. And so at that moment, I thought my mind went straight to Cameroon, and I said to myself, "Oh my goodness, this must be one of the problem many of the girls go through. That's why many of them get to drop out." At that time, I said to myself, "Okay, this is something that I need to investigate." And once I went to I entered my higher education. I was studying, and at that moment, I said to myself, "I have to start this project. If I want to help the girls, I don't have money. I need to bring people in so they can help me help the girls." And it's during my study that I sat next to a lawyer, and I asked the lawyer, "Do you know how to start a nonprofit?" And I explained to him what I wanted to do, and he said, "Okay, at the end of the class, come to my office, and I will start that for you." And that was in 2005, and that's how I started the Omaze project. So we really building the school. We started the school, but it's very difficult to find funds to build the school, and we don't have funding. Uh, and I have been raising funds to with a few people to support the school. We started the building of the school in 2007. We haven't finished. We already completed one building. We have one building on site now, but in the meantime, as given that it was taking more time to build the school, I came back here in 2016, 14. I went to school, and I interviewed the girls, because in the village where I'm building the school, there is a middle school. And but many of these girls don't go beyond middle school, because the real problem that they have is the toilet problem. School, as we speak, many of the school in the rural community, they don't have toilet. Even in the city, they don't have toilet. And many of the girls that enter middle school, the the youngest, because we have the program now, we have a tutoring program that we started in 2016 to help girls perform at the grade level. Not only they have many of the teachers don't come because the teacher has to be paid, and many of them don't get paid, because parents in the rural community, they have to pay the salary of the teacher, and many of the parents, they don't have income, and the few revenue that they have, they can't meet the need of all their children. So then we push the girls until 8th grade, and the girl will drop out, because every month, many of them, the youngest in our program now, because we tutor 16 and 8th and 7th grade, and many girls in the program, the youngest, as we speak, is 13 years old. So these are young women, you know. So every month they have to stay home when they have their period.
Yeah.
And this happened before we started the tutoring program. And when we started the tutoring program, I said to my board, we have to take care of the whole girl. We don't just take care of the education, because if we want them to succeed, we have to give them everything that they need to stay in school and learn. So we started providing them even with pad. So so in 2016 we started the tutoring program while waiting to complete our own school, because the school that we're building is the high school.
Yes.
Yeah, because many girls, they go to they after they're done with the with 8th grade, they will move to 9th grade, but they have to move out of the area. They have to move to the city, and they come back with pregnancy, or either they drop out because they don't have any support in the city. And I work in the shoes, so I know the situation. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. That's why I said, not only we're gonna build a school that has toilet in where girls will stay in school and learn, but this will be in their community and they can stay in their community. They don't have to go further. And the school that we're building is a boarding school, because we thought of the girls that will come from afar to have a place to stay and learn, you know. So that's we every day I wake up thinking I have to do something to to advance the education. So we started the tutoring program in 2016, and before we started, only 23% of the girls were succeeding, because in Cameroon you have to pass the high school entrance exam before you move to high school. And many of these girls went succeeded in the exam because many teachers are not coming. And the girls who has to stay home every month, a week, they have to take a week off because they have their period and they don't have a toilet to go and change. And sometimes they don't have pad. So many stuff were stuck against them. So we tried to fix a few of them, especially in the education side, because when we started in 2016, 23% were succeeded, and the first year we did we raised that rate to 45%, and then we went to 86%, and last year with the COVID we had 76%. So we're doing well. And this last year, at the beginning of this school year, we even expanded the tutoring program to include two new villages.
Amazing.
To help more girls. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that not only has there been success and a real turnaround in these young girls succeeding and passing, however, often what you find, there's a domino effect, isn't it? It impacts the family, it then impacts the community. And I'd imagine you see that trickling out.
Yeah. Everybody, it's not just for the girls, it's the entire community. It starts with the family. Because I can see how the village shifted since we started this program in the village. When I come in there, many parents at the beginning they didn't believe me, and I have to dig deeper to understand what was the reluctance coming from. And I discovered that many of the parents told me that it's because many people come in and they make promises to them, and they don't and they end up not fulfilling the promise. That's why they were so reluctant, you know.
Yeah, and you, of course, being the problem solver that you are.
Exactly. That's what I told them. I said, I was born a problem solver. I don't know if
there's no problem that I won't go over, under, around. Yeah, which is wonderful. So let's I mean, I love what you've shared, and one of the things that you've obviously have said, but I can see that this is so true to you. I mean, you've walked that talk as putting your family first, and your success will be their success. How have you seen that in your own life, and maybe even now in the lives of the communities, of the girls that you've been able to support?
Oh yeah, it's
for me in MF management. And for Dot, it's the first time I'm putting her in front of the audience.
It's here for me. It's here. It's my.
Someone else is so excited they want to get into the conversation.
Yeah, in my own personal life, it has been something that I apply, because I put my family first. Everything that I do it thinking of my family, because if I don't take care of my family, who else will do it for me? So what I do, even if I'm like now I'm working, I always think of my family. They always come first. When I started the nonprofit, I was raising my children. I was raising my children, and that gave me the opportunity to be, because I have the flexibility, given that I could make my own schedule, and that gave me that opportunity to stay close to my children and take care of them, especially that I'm doing this as a volunteer. So I don't have anybody who will ask me to report to the office at 8 a.m. and then answer to question on this. And so that gave me that flexibility really to stay close to my children. And the fact that I'm very far away from everybody. I don't have family member around here. So it was very important for me to look for something that would keep me near my children. Hopefully, they're all grown up now. The youngest of my children is 18 years old. He's in college already. So now that's why I started a business that will get me even out of the house and meet many people. And that's what the coaching is providing me. It's giving me the opportunity.
And, through hearing you share that story, you really can see that in different seasons of your life, like there was a season where you had younger children and you really had to take on the role of that provider, the supporter, the caretaker there. And now as your children have gotten older and into their own projects and of course education and so forth, you've now expanded, and which is wonderful. So often I think as women we want to have it all, we want to do it all, and we can, but sometimes it's just the different seasons, is recognizing what's in front of me now, what requires my most attention, and
yes, prioritizing.
Yeah, prioritizing is
yeah, you have to set priority in everything, not just as a woman who has family. Everything that you do, you have to set priority, and also planning, and know how to. Time management is big, especially for mothers. I'm speaking as a mother now. You have to know how to manage your time, whether you're working from home. And many people discovered that during the COVID, that they have to be home with the children, and that's something that I did for many years. But many of my friends discovered that they have to be home with the children, and it was very difficult for many women in particular. But it's difficult. It's difficult. You have to know how to manage your time when you have children around you, and and set priority really. Otherwise, you will get lost in there. And I learned how to compartmentalize, or whatever you say.
Right. Compartmentalize. You did very well. That is a mouthful then.
That the day that and even now I'm still acting like a robot. I have to wake up at 6 and exercise and then do this and do that. So I'm really scheduled like somebody who
and I guess that's really made you who you are. They're habits that you create, don't you, from whatever age that you're at. And often when you are a problem solver, or you've got a project, you're driven to achieve this goal. And you certainly, when we said you're sharing that you'll soon be the master of your life and in control of your destiny if you follow your heart, your story has certainly confirmed that that's what you're doing. And what I'd love to speak a little bit more about, because I know that I'm sure there must have been challenges, there must have been different ideas that you've implemented and they didn't quite come out as expected. What do you do to continue to hold that vision even amongst the disappointments? What is it for you that just keeps you focused and keeps you moving forward despite, challenges, failures? What does that for you, do you think, Jacqueline?
To me, I see challenges like something that is It's opportunity or failure is opportunity in disguise. To me, that's how I see it. Because I could have given up on Omaze already, because I faced a lot of challenges over the years. But every time that I faced a challenge, I knew that it was the moment for me to stop and take a deep breath and, and rethink my strategy. So challenges are not really to me, I see them as good thing. It's good because it's the moment for me to learn something new. So I hit the plateau. Every time that I face a challenge, to me, I concluded that I hit a plateau. I need to step back and rethink my strategy before I move forward. And every time that I did that, it worked for me. It really worked for me. Yeah. People say failure or whatever. I don't see like failure. I see like opportunity in disguise.
Yeah. And that's a mindset shift for some people, because some people, they try and avoid it. Yet for you, instantly you say, well, okay, so here's this thing. I need to take a step back and look at it. And the fact that you were named Tchouassi.
Yeah.
Tchouassi, that is problem solver. I mean, there's something about names, meaning in the Bible too, that people were given names, and they are that. So was that something that your parents maybe have said to you, Jacqueline, you always have been like that? There was an issue or a problem, and you just brainstormed your way into a solution. Was that something you done at a younger age even too?
Oh yes, since I believe I was conceived in war. My parents were hiding in the forest, so I was born in the forest.
Yeah. Well, that certainly ties right into it, right from the beginning of your life.
Even before I was born, I was already solving problems.
Yeah, nature and nurture, absolutely. Yeah. Which, when you think about it, I think problem solving is certainly a skill we can learn. However, those who have got that innately, I think it's especially for times such as this, and I think the ability to look at something and say, well, what can we learn from this? Is there a different way? Have you, through doing that, come up with, if you will, a system? Like you'd say, you take a step back, you look at certain things. Is there like a process or questions you mentally go through as you're looking at this situation and how am I going to move forward? Or is it change depending on what situation you're challenged with?
It depends on the situation. But usually what happens is that when I face a challenge, as I said before, I have to stop. It's the moment for me to stop and rethink my strategy, because I see challenge like, okay, you already reached, that's the end of this road.
Yes.
Try to look for different way to get out of this. And sometimes it will be like, it will happen like that I don't have the skill that I need to tackle this situation at the moment that it was in front of me. And I have to rethink, and I have to think, to do some research, and I learned to work a lot on my own. And if I don't find a solution, then I will seek help. And I learned that, and that's from from my birth.
It's one of those things, isn't it? This has got the this is what I often have shared to people when I think of one of my failures. It's like, well, this has got the ability to either make me or break me.
Yeah.
And breaking me, that's just not an option that I'm even going to contemplate. So I guess I better find a way through. It's just, sometimes it's innate, isn't it? But, and I'd imagine too, because you have such a desire and a heart to support these young girls, and you know that every problem and challenge that you overcome is another brick in the building of that new room, another toilet that you're building. And the vision and your goal is really driving forward too. You're strong. That's strong in that, isn't it? It's really firm.
Yeah, because and also the drive is really rooted in my passion for everything that I do. Um, and I didn't, for example, the project Omaze, I didn't start this because I wanted to make a living. I started because I saw a problem that needed somebody to solve it, and I know that this is really transforming lives. This project that we have in Cameroon is really transforming lives. So, and like I said, I faced a lot of challenge along the way. But every time I thought of the little girl, because my only dream in life when I was younger was to have an education. And I know that what kept me going, even when I moved to the United States, and I have that drive to go back and finish my education, my own education, is because when I dropped out of high school, my parents, they have a lot of hope for me. And when I dropped out of high school, my father said to me, you have to stay in school. Even if I have to sell my last underwear to keep you in school, I will do it.
Is that what your father said to you?
That's what my father said to me when I dropped out of high school. And when I look at my father, and he was so sad. It's the first time that I saw my father so sad. But one thing that he didn't understand is that I was facing a lot of hurdle on my way, because my father has 14 children, and I was the only one that he was pushing to go to school, because contrary to what you hear, that many parents in developing country don't want to send their children to school, especially girls. They don't want to send girls to school. That wasn't my experience at all. Both my parents didn't speak French. They weren't educated. They weren't. They didn't go to school. They didn't have even a second grade education. So, but my father has all the hope in me, because among the 14 children, I was the only one who didn't repeat the class. Because repeating a class to them, to those parents in the rural community, is a lost investment. Who wants to invest to lose? Nobody wants to do that, So when I decided that I was going to stop where I were in high school, I reached high school. First, I was in the city. I wasn't with my parents. I was in the city. I was like around about 80 miles away from them. And it became very difficult after I became a teenager, and all the hurdle for girls. And it came to the point that I was coerced to exchange sexual favors for school supply. It's at that moment that I said to myself, no. I know that my parents are poor, but it doesn't make me a poor-minded person.
Yes.
And at that moment that I decided to drop out of high school, and I told my father, he didn't understand, because I didn't get inside the detail. I didn't share all the detail with him. And he said, I will sell my last underwear to stay in school. I will sell my last underwear to pay for your education. And I said to myself, Daddy, even if you had that last underwear, nobody will buy it.
He was a gentleman that walked around with no underwear.
But it was his way of encouraging me to stay in school. And that's stuck with me, because I saw his love for me. I saw his devotion to me. And I saw how because he saw me, just to place it in the context, having a child who succeed in education is like having your social security revenue, having your insurance, having your life insurance, having your income, because during the old days, it's their children who have succeeded who will take care of them, because they don't have all the stuff that we have here, you know.
It's
So
very different. That's right. To invest in the children, isn't it, so that they can then. And a lot of them go back, don't they? Because we're grateful, like you are, so grateful for the opportunity that you now have. Share a little bit. I've loved. Thank you so much. As I said, I wanted you to give you an opportunity to share your story, and I know that there are many people who feel really would love to find out more how maybe they can support you. They may never be able to get there to Cameroon, but they feel very touched by your story, and may think, goodness, I'd love to get involved in supporting your project. So Jacqueline, share how people can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about how they can support you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, we have the website. It's www.omazo, AUMAZO.org. They go on the website, there we found all the information. They have my contact, they have my phone on the website, or they can find me on Facebook.
Yes.
Omaze Facebook. Yeah, so that's how they can find me, or even
so can you just spell it out one more time for people? Spell it out one more time. Omaze.
Omaze is AUMAZO.org.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Or they can reach out to me at info@omazo.org. That would be fantastic if people can reach out, because we need help. We need help. And I know that I'm doing my my coaching to raise some fund, but it's not enough. I need to get some help to complete the project. And many of these
toilets and people, if they've got any to sanitary, all of the things, builders, all of that, finances to be able to support. I've actually got the website up here.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. AUMAZO.
Yeah, that's
and there's a picture of the beautiful girls that you've.
Yes. Those girls that those were our first students. And one detail that I forgot to mention is that once the girls, once they finished, now that we haven't completed our own school, once they're done with succeeding in the high school entrance exam, we provide them with scholarship to continue the education, and we will do that until we finish our school before we bring them into the school. But at the moment, that once they succeed in the exam, because the first year, many of the parents who didn't have any expectation that those girls will succeed, they told us that they don't have money to support the education in high school. So we started the tutoring programs.
Yeah, that's right. That's another problem that you solved.
Oh, exactly. Every time I have a problem come up, I have to find a solution.
Yeah.
It's only that we're short in money. The solution, I can find the solution, but it's only that money is very tight. That's the difficult. That's the bigger challenge that I have to overcome, and I'm doing everything that I can, but I need help with that. Help with that.
That's funny. That's so important, and one of the reasons why I thought let's share your story, because I know that there must be someone else, or lots of someones who would love to reach out and support you. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the show, Jacqueline. It's been such. I know that it is getting quite late for you, so thank you again for.
Thank you so much. This was a great opportunity. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
You are so welcome.
Thank
and
you.
Continued success with
Thank you.
all of the girls that you are educating and supporting the future. I mean, who knows? Maybe the next president, or I don't know, some president of a company that goes and
Exactly.
goes.
Exactly. You know, one person can make a big difference in lives. One person. Yeah.
It takes one person, and you are that person for all of those girls. And I'm sure that there'll be other people that would love to get behind you and support you, Jacqueline. Well, thanks very much again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by theinfluencealliance.com. Want to influence real change with your message by becoming known as a trusted authority in your industry while building a sustainable and scalable business you love? Find out how by accessing our free podcast series at www.theinfluencealliance.com/podcast series. That's theinfluencealliance.com/podcast series.